Hello everyone, I'm Tom Murphy and this is Trinidad Now on TTTV Channel 71. You can also find us on YouTube under Trinidad Times Television 71. With me today is County Commission candidate Liz Aragon.
Thank you, Tom, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been here before when I ran for city council and then when I ran for mayor.
Yes, you are. But the thing is, Liz, even though people know you, not everyone knows you. People have moved here recently, and so one of the things I always do when I'm interviewing a candidate is that let's just find out about your background.
Sure.
You can start for as long as you want from the time you were born. Well, just tell me about yourself. I mean, where were you born? Where were you raised? Where did you go to school?
Okay.
Did you get married? Did you have children? Those things, because not everybody knows that.
Sure. I'm originally from Louisiana. I was born in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which is Leesville. My dad was a military man. I grew up on a small farm. Well, no, actually it was a large farm, not that small, but with my mother and grandmother, because my dad passed away, and I graduated in a small school, and I had 46 in my graduating class. So you know, it's a rural community. Right. But it taught me a lot of values of living in a rural life, the appreciation of having things that normally kids take for granted. I went to college at Northwest.
Before you go about college, I mean, one of the things that I've learned in being in this area is especially 4-H kids. There's certainly what I've heard is there's a lot of value in kids that raise animals.
Yes.
And so growing up on a farm, is that something that you did?
We had animals. I didn't exactly participate in 4-H or any of those, but we did have animals. Ours was more of a working farm. So,
and you worked hard.
And I worked hard. And I graduated high school, and then I went to college at Northwestern State, which is in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And then
Isn't it Nacogdoches?
No, it's
Is that the proper way to? Okay.
No, the proper way is Natchitoches. You're thinking of Nacogdoches, Texas.
Oh, okay.
This is Natchitoches, Louisiana.
All right.
Too different, yeah. And so one summer, I got a job at a resort at Redstone, Colorado, right outside of Glenwood Springs. A lot of people are probably familiar with that resort, and that's where I met my husband.
Okay.
So I continued my education in Denver, and then he was still working on his degree, and then we were married, and we have 4 children. I mean, 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Okay. You always think of your grandchildren as your children, too. Right. But, yeah, 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Okay. My husband is a native of Trinidad. His family has a long history. We own property in the county in District 1. We own mountain and agricultural property. His grandfather came from the Taurus and Tertiary Valley area. He had a lot of uncles that worked for the coal mines here in Valdez and Tertiary. So he has a long history. And we retired here we bought our home, I think, about 23 years ago, 25 years ago. And then we retired about 12 years ago here. And I sort of hit the ground running. I love this community. It's beautiful. I love the area. The people are great. So I volunteer for a lot of organizations and have. I've been on city council for 4 years. I presently serve on the Purgatory River Water Conservancy District. I've been attending a lot of their watershed meetings so that we can understand a little bit more about how important an issue our water is. Right. I've served on the Trinidad Ambulance District for 6 years. I was part of helping to build the new building that we have on the west side so we could better serve the public. Have one on the west and east. Right. And I was the city's liaison for the Carnegie Library, and I helped to bring the computer center and bookstore. And I just feel like volunteering is a value system of mine, and I, enjoy doing it. Well, plus, it gives you an opportunity to learn what the issues are. Right. But wouldn't it have just been easier to stay retired and sit on the porch? It would, but I'm just so full of energy, I can't sit still. That's good. And my family knows that, and my husband's very supportive of me wanting to do, and we're all a happy family. So. Well, one of the things I've seen is it takes somebody with experience, and you have a lifetime of experience, and time. And I have time. That's important. And I have knowledge. Yes. And experience, as you said, because I've worked in this community
Well, we've talked before. You were in real estate for many, many years.
Yes, I was. 23 years I owned my own business in Farmington.
So you can appreciate the small business owners here and the struggles that we all have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of it, to me, it just sort of revolves around business personal property tax.
Right.
Those are huge. You know, it takes a big chunk of your income to pay those taxes. I'd like to see that changed on our state level. And I'm willing
to lower them?
To lower them, if not temporarily, then permanently.
We're kind of veering off. We're going to maybe get into this later, but that's I'll just put that down for later because I'm going to keep this more just on the personal side. So, and you've kind of covered this, but just tell me again, what are your reasons for running?
Well, I think I do have the time, I have the experience, and I have the knowledge and the energy, and I think that's what it's going to take.
Okay.
It's a tough job.
Okay, but I am going to veer off pattern here. I mean, you've served on city council and other boards, but what motivated you to decide to run for county?
Because I think I have a lot to offer, and my enthusiasm really lies with going to the state legislators and getting something done for our community, for our county, and I think that's what it's going to take. You know, this year... This year, you know, the legislators had a job agenda but they didn't do anything.
It got killed?
It got killed. They didn't do anything about it. And we need to create more jobs. And, you know, there's a whole area like the oil and gas industry, the coal mines, and businesses that need to, you know, we need to help them.
Well, to create jobs, though, we're going to need revenue, and so how are we going to do that?
Well, you've got to go to the state to get some of the funds to come down here.
Right.
And some of it, as I said, is cutting the taxes for small businesses and their personal property tax. I talk to businesses downtown, and some of them say that's just almost, you know, 50 or 60% of their income goes to that personal property tax.
Right.
And that needs to be reviewed and maybe give them a break.
But that would be less revenue for the county.
No, it would not. It would be less revenue for the state.
For the state, okay.
I think the county is based on property tax.
Right. Okay. All right.
Not local business.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to include everybody in the county, not only county-wide, but also in the downtown. We've got to start working together.
We can revisit this again.
Okay.
So don't, if you want to talk about this again, we'll veer back into this.
Okay.
But I didn't want to stop you from talking about it because I think that's interesting.
Okay.
So before we wrap this up here in our first segment, what are your qualifications, your accomplishments, and why would you be a good county commission candidate? Again, we've kind of covered this, but I'm still trying to make sure that I cover these questions specifically. So even if we have to restate them.
Okay. Well, I've always been supportive and been involved in county and city organizations. I've been a member of the Kiwanis Club and helped with the pancake breakfast for years, and then I've helped with the Veterans Luncheon and donations to that. And I've also, worked in the Purgatory River Water Conservancy District as a board member, and that's an appointed position, and I'm still on it. I've been attending the Watershed Project meetings to better understand how to save our water. That's one of our biggest issues that the county is going to face is water. I was on the County Ambulance District, working together to build our new building on the west side of town. And as I said, I've served as the city's liaison for the Carnegie Library, helping to get our computer center, which is vital for young people and older people too, to learn how to Skype or email. And I've also volunteered, as I said, many hours in this community. So I feel like I'm it's a step up from city council.
That was my next question: is how did city prepare being in city government?
Because government runs pretty much along the same lines. It's just city government is city government and county is county.
Right.
But you have budgets to work on. You have personnel issues. You have the renovation that's going on and acquisitions of vehicles. And but the added bonus for me, because I'm excited about that, is being able to go directly to the state legislators.
Okay.
And I would like to form a bipartisan group from our community that would be interested in doing that too, to lobby to get the things that we need down here. Severance tax is a big deal and getting, we just have to start somewhere.
The problem is, Liz, and Bill Cordova told me this, and it's true, is that Trinidad's problem is that there's only 7 rural representatives, and the rest are from the cities, and so we're in the minority, and it doesn't matter whether we're right or not, because they do take a good portion of our severance tax.
Right.
It's a minority issue in that they'll take our funds from us, which they've done in the severance taxes.
Sure they do. But I don't know that we have made the effort to really sit down and, discuss with them what they need to do to give them back some more of those funds.
Now I got to tell you, I spent last January through May
yes, you did.
doing quite a bit of lobbying on the cemetery.
On the cemetery.
And I will tell you that it's a good idea, because what it takes is that personal one-on-one relationship.
Yes.
To walk into their office and say,
I want to talk to you.
Exactly. And you know what?
Do you have time for me? And this is the issues that we have, and what can you do to help us?
So you're right on that. That is what it takes.
It needs to be done. And that, to me, is the biggest issue about being a county commissioner, is what I want to do there. The rest I've learned, as I said, through city government. It's sort of the same. I know I've talked to people in the county. Their roads are an issue. Noxious weeds are an issue. I don't know if you know this, Tom, but there are 1,600
roads
miles
of
roads. Now, you could go all the way across Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and get to Alabama before you use. Now, to think about that. Now, I know it costs a lot of money, and they do a good job, but we want to make sure that those roads are safe for our school children and the buses, and for the citizens, the community out there, to ride on those. And I know that the Road and Bridge Department, and that doesn't even count bridges. We're just counting roads. You throw in the bridges. So they are doing a good job. You have to remember, too, that they get payment in lieu of taxes. So every time the government takes a part of our county, we're losing taxes, and we don't get paid back.
And some of those PILT payments have been cut.
They've been cut, and they could be cut again.
That's right.
So we have to be careful about that. We have to watch it, but
we've covered a lot here, though, in the first segment, and we're going to put this on YouTube too. So we're going to cut ourselves off here, and we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back, because this is going well. We got a lot to cover here.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on TTTV Channel 71. Welcome back. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on TTTV Channel 71. With me in our second segment, Liz Aragon, who's running for County Commission. Liz, we covered a lot of topics, but not necessarily in depth. Now, the next question you can cover at much length as you want and take as much time. What are the 3 most important issues for this county to address?
Well, the main, I have about 5 issues or 6.
That's fine. Let's go through them all.
One of the immediate issues, is the hiring of a county manager and administrator. Now would be the ideal time if they review the vetting process and review it and revise, if necessary, the current evaluation criteria, and then set the minimum qualifications of the position. I believe education and experience are 2 of the top qualifications.
What type of education?
Oh, in business administration. Master's degree.
Master's degree, okay.
At the minimum. You can set the minimum qualifications. And, I have to work with the other county commissioners, which I think I can do very well, and we can discuss. And maybe they have already. I'm not saying they don't have one. I just think that's an issue that I want to look at and address if it's not there already.
Okay.
The number 2 is to get input from the county manager on what his goals would be for the county in conjunction with what our goals are. Like, for instance, reviewing the county policies and the codes. I know they do that now. They're supposed to do it by state statute every 6 months. That is required, and I'm sure they do. I'm not saying they don't, but I want to make sure that continues, because, over time, policies and codes become obsolete. Number 3, you've got to develop a realistic budget. And I know right now the next year's budget is already will be set by the current commissioners. So I'm not going to have much say. But I would like to have it reviewed. In fact, I don't have any say. But I would like to review it to make sure that we're staying within that budget.
Okay.
And monitored on a regular basis. And we have to ensure that the ongoing projects that are going on with the renovation of the courthouse and also the county airport. You know, the county airport is a vital concern to spur our economy for businesses. And number 5 is just we have to look at the economy. You've heard a lot about the economy, but recently we were presented with a county jobless rate of 11.5%. You know, that's not acceptable.
No.
This probably doesn't even include the people that are not on the unemployment anymore. They stopped looking. And how many people have moved because of no employment here? We really do. Families are hurting, businesses are hurting. The question is, what are we going to do about it? What's the solution? You know, we need to get together. We can start by developing strategies at the local level in conjunction with city and county officials and the county economic agencies to deal with the problem. Last year, as I said, despite all the business rhetoric, not much was done by our state legislators. Now, we have got to incorporate them into this county. It's been way too long since we went up there to stay, except for when you went.
Right.
But we need to get local politicians and the citizens if they want to. I'd like to see that, a bipartisan group formed for advisory on this needs to be done and this, and we can go get this, and then go and lobby our legislators to demand a strong jobs agenda and things for here. We need regulatory reform and tax reduction for businesses. I would support a phase out of the business personal property tax at least until the economy recovers. I'm sure you'd like to have help with taxes, and I think every other business would like to have some help with the taxes. And we, you know, as I said, can do a bipartisan committee to go and lobby. And one of the biggest issues, the very most important to me, is water. If we lose our water, either through not taking care of our Purgatory River and cleanup, that's why I've been attending these watershed projects to see how they're going to help save our water. I'd like to know that. But people can get complacent, and you know, the state and other people want water. They want water. And we have to be careful that your water rights are preserved and you hold on to those.
Do you think our water is at risk right now from low water flow, or, you know, as it is in many communities, or being taken as we were threatened several years ago when they tried to get a 1 cent sales tax to acquire more water rights? So is the issue just low water, or that it's trying to be purchased underneath this?
The risk is always there in all areas.
Right.
The risk is there. And so you have to be vigilant about watching what we do with our water and where it's going and who's using it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long you're on the what water board is it?
Yeah, Purgatory River Water Conservancy District.
Okay.
You're appointed to that, and I represent the people of Trinidad.
And you got appointed to that when you're on city, right?
Right.
And you're still on there.
And I'm still on, and I have probably 3 years left. Yeah.
Okay, and there's a lot to learn, isn't there?
Water law, yes, it's really difficult. You have to keep up with it. In fact, next week, I'm attending a meeting in Pueblo with the Bureau of Reclamation and the Corps of Engineers because they want to place gauges in different spots of the river, and that, you know, that just tells you
the water flow, right?
Flow.
I believe they did that in Aguilar.
Yeah, so they're going to be doing it, and you know, that's good. But you have to keep on top of the issues to know what's.
Okay. Well, let's go back and revisit, because you talked about 6 different things. County manager evaluation and education. Do you know, are they currently advertising for?
I don't think they have yet, but does it mean maybe they have? I don't know if I've picked up on it.
Well, I guess one of my concerns, and this has happened here frequently, is you get promoted from within. Would you be against that if they didn't have the educational minimum standards that you're looking for?
No, I don't believe in cronyism, if that's sort of what you're getting at. I think you have to be qualified. You either have to have the education. I think the education and experience go together.
Okay.
I don't think one really, I think they need to be proportionate to.
Okay. So that means, though, if you hire somebody, Liz, if you advertise nationally, and we get a county manager here that's from someplace else, and you're saying we want some input from them, on changes that need to be made, they're going to need some time.
Oh, sure.
In order to assess.
Well, if I get elected, I have 4 years.
Well, no, I mean as a county
Oh,
manager.
sure. That's what I said. We can sit down with him and let's see, after he's been here and see what his goals, short term and long term. What does he feel like? Because, it doesn't take a qualified county manager long to be brought up to speed.
Okay.
He's going to get it from everywhere, basically. So, yeah, we'll help. We're going to have to figure out what he finds us to be. But that will take a little time.
Okay. In the projects with the airport, one of the things that was happening when you're on city council was running the water tap and trading out the water tap for some property over along the river. Is that still a possibility? Has the water tap been done?
Yeah, the water tap has been done.
So they have adequate water for industrial use?
Yes.
Okay. And I know I filled out a survey for what I use with the airport, and all the time that I've been here, I've never used it. That's not to say there aren't plenty of businesses here that don't. It just hasn't been. So, where do you see us going with the airport? What sort of development?
Well, people can now ship things out. You can have a business that's just basically on the internet, order. And in fact, I think that's a lot of what Danielson's does.
Oh, they were shipping by air freight?
I don't know if they ship by air freight, but I mean, a lot of your ordering, and it has to come from either the I-25, the airport, or, some means of transporting it in here, trucking it in. But we can use the airport to, the delivery service. It can certainly use that. Okay. We don't, we just need to build from where we have now. We just need to build it up to be able to use it, and that's important.
Oh, it is.
Not for tomorrow, but down the road.
If we didn't have it, we certainly would be wishing we had one. Yes. So it just probably needs to be developed.
It needs to be developed.
If I'm not incorrect, I believe that they're working on a marketing plan for it.
But I'm not familiar with that. But
okay.
Yeah,
and also the old jail. I mean, you've been attending a lot of the meetings. Do you have any idea what's the delays are, other than there's some problems with construction? Have you found out anything?
No, to tell you the truth, I haven't. It hasn't been discussed. I'm sure that's an executive session matter, and I wouldn't be involved in that.
We put a lot of money into it.
Yes. So, and that would be something to look at. That I'd like to, see what the problems are.
Okay.
I know that the same company that built the ambulance district is working on the jail facility. So there could be some issues in there as well. So that's just a guess. Okay.
And you talked about the jobless rate, and getting the state to help us. And I think this is. Was my second question. What's the county's role in attracting and supporting new industries? So if you were able to lobby the legislature up north, I guess what type of industry or whatever do you think that working together with the legislator would we be looking for here?
Well, that's a good question, Tom, but I don't know that we have the answer yet until we actually can talk to them to see what, what's available, what jobs agenda, what can they do, and how does it work for us? How does it match? We've got the oil and gas industry. They need to deregulate some. It's time. We're in 2012 that we work with nature. There's no reason that we can't work in harmony there.
Right.
Because there are a lot of jobs. Natural gas, utilities need to come down.
But the natural gas prices are way down. That's why they're not doing anything.
Well, we're not using. That's true, but they're not being able to drill either. So we need to. I'm just saying we need to work in harmony with nature, and the same with the coal mine. I'm not sure why they are, had to close and when they're going to reopen, but we need to create the jobs we have to work with, and then expand from there.
We got time for one more question. Revenues, of course, are declining with the county. I know the assessed valuation went up to $700 or $800 or $900 million at one time, and we're back down to $400 or $500 million. It's dropped significantly, which means that there's less revenue for road and bridge.
Right.
And as we talked off camera, I mean, there's 1,600 miles of roads. What can we do? Would you be in favor of changing the taxes to support more road and bridge? Because we can't let those roads go.
No.
Any ideas on that?
I don't. At this point, I really need to see the overall picture of all of it. I know their budget is $4.4 million, and as we said, payment in lieu of taxes is a big portion of that. I know they get it from other taxes that come in for the county from the state. We have to look at that. I think the budget totally for our county is about 35 million, I believe. And then the general fund is just it's 25 million, and the general fund is only 7.3 million.
Okay.
But as far as I think the Tabor law has set in on raising property taxes, what we have to make sure is we don't lose any more property.
Right.
Because we lose that tax base when we do that. And we could lose the payment in lieu of taxes, it looks like now. And that's only $500,000 that comes in.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't say we have to raise taxes until I look at, I wouldn't say that because people are taxed to death. I think we're going to have to look at what we have and what exists already. In county, the District 1 that I'm in, Pioneer takes care of a lot of those roads. And a lot of people have complaints of how Pioneer works. I mean, as far as keeping the dust down and grading. Mm-hmm. So, maybe it's something we need to sit down with Pioneer and talk about because they do take care of a lot of roads. And they probably do the same in other areas if they have wells to maintain. So I'm going to have to look at the whole picture.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to answer that question without knowing the whole situation with our county roads. But. Okay.
And you heard my beeper, so we're going to take another break. So, no, we got time. I budgeted some time in there, because we want to keep this in the 15-minute segment realm. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on TTTV Channel 71. Liz is going to be our final segment because in the first two segments we pretty much covered everything, but I have a few more questions that I want to ask.
Sure, be glad to answer them.
One of the biggest issues for the last 20 plus years in this county has been Pinyon Canyon. What is your position on the Army's proposed expansion of Pinyon Canyon maneuver site?
Well, I mentioned that a little bit in about property taxes. Number one, every time the government buys property, we lose the taxes on that. Number two, it's agriculture. Those families, those ranchers have a business to run. And since they came in, 11 years ago? Or did you say 20?
No, it started back in the 1980s.
When they took over the 238,000 acres that they took, we lost in agriculture 4,000 head of cattle, which amounts to $2.8 million taken out of this county. So you figure that up over... How much is that over a 20-year period, or whenever that time frame was? Because I wasn't here, but when they took it over.
Right.
I think we need to think really hard about it because what have they done for us? I mean, we've lost 2.8 million.
Well, as the devil's advocate it's to train soldiers to be so they survive.
I want to make that clear. Right. I come from a military family, so I have no problem with the military.
Right.
But I have read the reports, and they want to take over not only this is Los Animas County, which includes Trinidad.
Right.
So it's the largest takeover of private property rights in the United States. They already owned 24 million acres in this country. You've got to think about, is it necessary?
Right.
And can they convince us that it's necessary?
Do you think they still have that on the back shelf?
Yes.
To acquire all the land from here to Kansas?
Yes.
I
do. Why not?
Well, hopefully we're winding down with our wars.
I would hope so.
We thought it was...
I would hope so.
Yeah,
yes.
So do I. But
I do support our military and the young men and women. They put their lives on the line for us every day.
Absolutely.
But this, to me, is more of a government takeover than the young men and women who fight our battles.
And it's our property rights.
It's our property
rights. It's our
rights.
constitutional.
Constitution. And it's, to me, the big issue is the agriculture. We don't put enough emphasis on
right.
the agricultural in this county. It's
'Cause
millions of dollars.
We need to feed America.
We have to feed, yes. I don't want China beef.
Right.
I want Los Animas County beef.
Right.
So, there's a lot of issues to it, and maybe we can all talk and figure out the best way. But, I think it's the renters and the owners of that property's decision. And when you say no, no means no.
Right. So this is going to be an ongoing battle, and you're not going to let it go.
True.
Okay.
True. I really want to know if it's necessary. I really want to know how the property owners feel, and I really want to know the impact it has on our county. Because as I said, thus far we have not seen one dime. In fact, in exchange for $2.8 million a year coming in, not counting taxes, that's just on cattle, what is it taken from us and what have we gotten back?
Right.
Because this business is saying it's going to help our businesses. I don't buy that because it hasn't.
Okay.
So I think, we're just going to have to look at the overall picture and decide what's best.
Okay.
And the ranchers have to decide that too.
Okay.
The owners of the property.
Let me ask you this first. Is this going to be a full-time job for you?
Well, that's what I have already assumed. It's a full-time job. There's a lot on my agenda to get done, and I don't see how I can do it 2 or 3 hours a day.
Well, I think the requirement is 40 hours a month?
I don't think I'd be very effective at 40 hours a month. I think I'm going to have longer.
Right.
So 40 hours a week sounds a little bit more in tune. But I'm sure there are times when you do have a little extra time. But it's always good to have that for a learning process to do.
Okay. A lot of people don't realize, what is the salary? And the salary is set by the state.
Yes, it is.
But do you know what it is?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
That's actually encouraging, because that means that's not your motivation.
No, it's not my motivation, and I actually don't know. I would think it's somewhere around 45 or 50.
No, it's 50 or
50. I don't know, actually.
5, I forget.
I haven't looked at that.
But it is set by the state. So.
Yeah, it is set by the state. And I think they've turned down several raises too, and I don't know if that goes back to the county.
It goes to the state. I believe my experience. It's mandated by the state, because some were too low and I think some were too high, and they set the standards. Okay. The state legislature
that
did.
hasn't been something I've really looked into. Maybe I should have.
Good for you.
Sorry.
That's not bad to hear. Leading up to the last couple questions, Liz, what is your viewpoint on sitting commissioners appointing a fellow commissioner who faces term limits and resigns to take a different county position without qualifications or credentials?
I'm not going to do it. I don't believe in that.
And I'm not saying that we know of anybody that's going to do that.
No, I don't know of anyone, but I wouldn't do it. Okay. And I think that's pretty clear. I'm pretty. When I say what I mean what I say.
Right.
I wouldn't do that. You have to be qualified. It just can't give buddies favors anymore. The time has passed for that. We've got to move on. We've got to treat everybody equally. That's a big...
It was my understanding back in the day, before the laws changed, when you got elected county commissioner, your family got to fill in all the key positions.
Well, fortunately for this county, I don't have family. So,
that's
another
point.
I don't have family to put in any position, so I'm not going to be doing that. No.
Okay.
No.
Now, the last... Actually... couple things, but the last key question: you've seen my smiling face, as you said, on council, sitting, in the galley.
Yes.
We have the newspaper and the television. How do you feel about the press and transparency for government?
Well, I think transparency is very important. It has to be that way. It really does, and I'm very open about it. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have any agenda to hide, so it should be transparent. Yeah,
okay.
It should be. But, they have executive sessions for a reason, and usually that has to deal with either contract issues or personnel issues, and they're not for public, at that time. And it may never be for public. Well,
I would encourage you. I believe that for a while the commissioners, their work sessions, they just didn't bother to publicize, and they held them whenever. And now they're in the public. So would you continue? Because just like with the city, you had the regular meetings and you had the work sessions. Would you continue to promote open work sessions for the?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Everything that involves our government, it should be open.
Okay.
It should be open.
Okay. Well, the last thing I normally tell people, as I did before we started, is, don't forget about the cameras. We're just talking. But this is the last part where you can turn and face the camera and ask people to vote for you and say whatever it is that you'd like to say to finish it up.
Well, I started my campaign in March or April. I was nominated by the Republican Party to run, and I've started, as I said, the campaign back then, and I've advertised constantly about what my values are and what my issues are, and so people should have a good feel for what they're going to get in me as a candidate. I'm a hard worker. I have a lot of energy, and I have the I think qualifications to do this job, and so I would like for your vote. I would appreciate your voting, and maybe we can changes are good. Just bite the bullet and do it. Let's change. Let's move forward. Let's have some progress. Let's get some jobs going. And all of us in this community need to work together. It's not a party issue. It's more of a community issue. We need to work together. And I think in a bipartisan way, I'm going to do that. So I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you. And thank those who've supported me already.
And Liz, thank you for coming on again.
Thank you.
It's always been a pleasure. We don't do this frequently enough, so I stumble a little bit, and you're an easy interview. But it's the key is I want people to see your face and listen to you, because before voting, we never really got to know the candidates.
That's true.
And this is a little bit more personable, so that people really get to know who you are.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this wraps it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on TTTV Channel 71. Thank you.